Hello, everybody, and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm John, your executive producer here, and thanks for tuning in to watch or listen to whatever it is you're about to watch or listen to. In these trying times, we really do appreciate everyone that feels that we are worth their time, and we hope that we're able to give you something entertaining to while away the time as you spend it. We particularly want to thank those of you that feel like we're worth financially contributing to, particularly our $25 and up supporters on Patreon, who are Antitonic, Drevian Alexander, Cat Waterflame, Rowan Parker, and Samantha Bates. Yes, I read that off of a list. Thank you very much for supporting us. I know that in these uncertain times, finances are tough for everybody, so that you're willing to donate to us means a lot to all of us here, and we thank you. That being said, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gran Terra Shadowfront, which I will pronounce differently every time. I'm John, your game master for the evening. I'm joined today by the Wooden Door playing Gent Minar, and Mara, who is muted. Off to a great start.
Okay, there we go. I'm good. Hi, I'm Mara. I'm playing Titania Valkorian, Eladrin Druid Princess.
I love when my own jokes just happen without me having to do anything.
I don't.
That's great. All right. And William?
Hi, I'm William, and I'm playing Valdez Stonebeard, the Dwarven Samurai.
And joining us for the first time on Thursdays, Craig.
Hi, I'll be playing Grummond Bellmender, the Dwarven Monk, the Drunken Master.
And Jeremy.
Hello, I am Jeremy. I legitimately don't even remember what the persona that they're in right now is. So I will just. Is it Marith? Okay.
Yep.
A Marathon who is currently a human warlock.
And Cody.
I'm Cody. I'm playing Ithram Valar, Hobgoblin War Wizard.
And when last we left off, oh yes, that's right. As always,
Trans Lives Matters, Stop Asian Hate, ACAB.
Believe women.
Yes.
And fuck the GOP in general.
Yeah. That's a given.
That's a given. It really is. Especially because all the things we said earlier before.
Honestly, the only thing they should be given is just to hold the fuck off.
Anyways. When last we left off, the Steelhearts found themselves a guide.
Yes, we did.
So yes, the Steelhearts are in the Hive of Ruin, a collection of fallen kingdoms in northern Euskorva, which, for Craig's benefit, is up here.
Where all the X's are on the right side of the map.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get it to... Why is it not...
It pinged.
It's pinging, but it's not snapping too.
Okay.
Did they remove that functionality?
It's pinging as a stream observer, so maybe
not. I'm on the wrong... That's... Yeah.
Yeah.
We're professionals.
There
much
it goes.
There we
go.
Much the same way our guide was a professional.
Yeah.
Listen, our guide was amazing. I adore him.
So, In the northern frigid frozen lands of East Corva, there is the Hive of Ruin, which is a collection of collapsed and fallen kingdoms, both metaphorically and literally, that built on, around, under, and through each other until they eventually couldn't be, sustained, and now it's just effective. What would effectively be referred to as my world's. Why is that term leaving my brain again? West Marches setting. Like if I were to set a West Marches game in Gran Terra, it would be in the Hive of Ruin, because you can find all manner of things in there. But yeah, so. It's an intensely catacomb-like weave of fallen kingdoms, in which the Steelhearts are searching for the fallen kingdom of Uldur, trying to find where the phylactery of a lich might be hidden, as their home city burns under demonic hellfire. Not that these two things are related; they just really wanted to deal with that lich. Their guide didn't work out all that well, in that he guided them into a trap. Fortunately, he was revived by Titania and sent on his merry way.
Look,
back in place.
The guide did exactly what a guide should do: lead us to a place and be the person in front when the trap hits.
He did.
That's the job of a guide.
Ideally, I think they don't get hit by the trap. That's usually.
Ideally, but let's not pretend we wouldn't have been hit by the trap.
So we would have been hit by 3 other traps that he walked us past if we went without a guide.
Yes, but we've only been going an hour, and I have doubts.
It's fair.
Whatever, he's the best.
If he makes it back to town, I'll believe it.
And so, being sans a guide, Ithram teleported back to town while the rest of you waited. So, Ithram.
Yeah.
There's a crack of light and a pulse of force as you appear in the middle of Snowdrift. The frontier. Snowstrand, that's it. I don't know why I keep wanting to say drift. Snowstrand.
Everywhere.
It's true. Snowstrand. The largest frontier town on the frontier, and it's not that very big. There's the same amount of hustle and bustle that there was the night before, which is to say, not a lot. People are probably already out in the ruins or already drunk and sleeping.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There's only 2 states.
Where I teleported was near the gate, just so that if there was anybody getting ready to head out, if I could catch them.
Okay. Make a perception check.
I can do that. Theoretically. My character sheet loads. There we go. Perception. What I roll? 8.
Well, there's lots of people going in and out. You can see there.
Any that have packs on?
Some that have packs on. Some that are in groups. Most of them are going in and out of the tavern that's right there by the gate. You do notice that there is a particularly deep and abiding trench in the snow at one location, or it looks like maybe somebody had taken some sort of sled or something out ahead of them. Maybe a wagon or something of some kind.
All right. Yeah. Are there guards at the gate?
No.
Okay. Then I'll go back into the place where I know that somebody will have information. I'll go to the tavern.
You go into the tavern. There are a few dozen bodies on the floor. You're not quite certain. It's hard to tell. Smelling, certainly.
Wonderful.
That same orc sitting at the bar, polishing maybe that same glass.
I'll
Not that you know,
gingerly
because you
step over.
never met him the last time, but
Gingerly step over a couple bodies on my way to the bar, and greetings, sir.
Hmm.
Would you happen to know of any scouts that of decent reputation that are available for hire?
Yep.
Would you be willing to share those names and perhaps where I could find them?
Well, typically you'll find Bellmender collapsed in a snowdrift somewhere.
He is already in the hives.
Then there's Bellmender, who you'll find collapsed in another snowdrift nearby.
Who is the first one? I was speaking of Crunchy.
Crunchy's the first one.
Okay.
Crunchy's the second one.
Crunchy is the second one.
And
Close.
then there's Belfagast Bellmender. Him you'll find probably in a pot somewhere, head first. Hopefully not one that Crunchy's already visited.
Okay. Any others?
There's Steve.
Bellmender?
No last name.
Okay.
Likes to punch trees. Kind of weird.
What? Ithram has a confused look as he hasn't seen trees for days. So... just does that thing where...
He's weird. He's oddly square, this Steve.
Easy to hire. You just need to pay him 3 square meals a day.
He'll punch trees, he'll punch stones, he'll punch blocks of iron.
Spent years developing this trade. Well then, is this other Bellmender that you suggested is Crunchy and Crunchy?
Right, and Belfagast.
Belfagast? So I should look in ditches or pots,
Basically.
is what you're telling me. And Steve just shows up or look for a tree?
Most often, Steve will be found digging a hole in the ground, hiding in it for a while, then coming back out.
Have an interesting culture up north.
No, Steve's just weird.
Okay. Well then, thank you for the information. I slip him a gold piece, and then I go look for bodies and heads in pots. Or bodies sticking out of pots.
Make an investigation check.
All right. I'm also theoretically good at those. 14, except I rolled like shit.
You start looking around. And
I'll ask other people.
you ask other people that actually are a little bit more talkative than the bartender.
Yes.
And you learn very quickly that it seems like basically the only time you're going to find somebody to hire is at night. During the day, they're either already working or already in the ruins.
Okay. Is there anybody selling maps of hive areas that have already been explored?
Yes.
All right, I will go there.
Yeah, no, you can find a map seller. You notice, though, very quickly that all the maps are are titled of the same area, but differently designed. And you notice that after each name, there's just like a sequential series of numbers.
Okay. So, does it look like? Not that they're going to be isometric maps, but since it's high, can I kind of get an idea based on how when we traveled the general area that we were in?
Give me another investigation check here.
God.
Okay, I'm gonna use my inspiration. I want to find a map that'll be useful. 24.
So, looking through these maps, you realize these are iterative maps of the same location. And the iteration point you notice is the day. Basically, each map has a sequential date on it as it goes forward. And looking at it, sometimes they're very similar, sometimes they're drastically different. By reading this, you sort of get the idea that the hive moves or shifts somehow over the course of a day, to the point where the same area might not be anything like what it used to be the next day you go in.
So a map is not as useful, still useful, but not as useful.
In this case, they're historical reference.
Okay. This is what it looked like on Tuesday last year.
More like this is what it looked like on Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. All right then.
It's not just a West Marshes, it's a roguelike.
I'm gonna send a message using sending to Valdeth, and it'll say, or I'll be saying, all hireable scouts have already left town. Maps aren't as useful either. Should I keep looking or return?
Before you get to answer that question, Valdeth, we're going to rewind a little bit. Craig.
Yes.
You overslept.
That sounds about right.
You meant to get out bright
What
and
about in
early.
the game?
You meant to get out bright and early, get to the ruins, get to a good location where you could start digging for recipes and various other things that might be of interest to you. But last night, your cousin, Crunchy, came to you with, you're not certain where he got it, but a large amount of not terrible whiskey. Now, I say not terrible whiskey because the only whiskey in this town is terrible whiskey. So you're no idea where he got it from, but he, again, Crunchy is slightly shorter than your average dwarf. Mussy blonde hair. Tonight, half of his beard had been shaven. You're pretty certain not by him. Kind of messed up all over, piss drunk as he normally is. Very dirty, filthy, smelly. But he had a bottle of real good shit. And he was telling you about how there's some bunch of some fancy, rich, coordinated adventurers. He seemed really stuck on the fact that they seemed like they dressed, they coordinated their outfits together, which, for him seemed like really weird and also impressive.
Yeah, but for Crunchy, it's a good day if he's got pants and shirt. So.
Yeah, basically. He he sort of went on, sort of spun this tale while you were drinking. You were mostly interested in the drinking and not really the tale. But the end result is you wake up and everybody's already gone for the day. All the good, hunting parties are already out. It's just you on the floor of your house.
Which am I renting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I will wake up. I will make sure everything is roughly where it's supposed to be. I'll check the hoarder's hall, make sure it still is floating around where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
And poke my head out. It's like that scene from Scott Pilgrim when he opens the door and it's light outside all of a sudden.
Yes. Shing, and it's shining off the snow and everything.
Oh, God. And I'll peek outside and look around.
So mostly, normal daily activity. You sort of live off the main street that leads straight out, and you can tell everybody's normally when you wake up, there's like a crowd of people gathering, picking a side, figuring out who's going where, so they don't run into each other and start picking off each other's bets and stuff. And they've already gone and headed out.
Okay.
So all that's here is you, your hall, few other of the shopkeepers and folks that stay in town, the watchtowers. So Snowstrand. Snowstrand is basically built around it's a series of ice huts built around a few log structures. And the big log structures are these watchtowers that have like guard posts / inns in sort of underneath them. So there's log house with a watchtower on top, and there's one in the middle of the town, and there's like sort of 2 or 3 around the ring. You're near the central watchtower, so you can see the folks that are up there. You can see a few normal people, and there is one thing that seems strange to you. Mostly, there is this very well-dressed hobgoblin. You've never seen a hobgoblin before in your life. You know what they look like by reputation. You've never seen a hobgoblin before in your life. They are from places where it's warm, which is not here.
Clothes match.
But yeah, like his clothes are well fitted. He's wearing nice gear. He's got a really sort of like a gray shoulder cloak pinned with a brooch. And he's standing.
Tiny flamulated owl on his shoulder.
Yeah. And he's standing over by the iterative map stall.
Okay. And what did Crunchy say that they were looking for?
They were
put together group
looking for someone to take them into the ruins, and he was going to take them.
Okay. How long have I been here, delving into the ruins at this point?
Good. At least a year and a half at this point.
All right, fantastic.
Which means you're an old hand now.
Right. All right. So I will walk up to the hobgoblin.
So go ahead and describe yourself as you approach.
Sure. Grumman is relatively tall for a dwarf. He is, despite the cold, he is wearing a sleeveless tank top and essentially large, durable-looking cargo pants with just pockets stitched on all over the place, and heavy-duty suspenders that have actually a fairly jaunty-looking geometrical snowflake motif running up each of them. He has sort of rusty red to auburn hair that has been combed in sort of a middle part, and it looks like there's some pomade at work holding it in place, and has fairly bushy mutton chops and a sizable mustache, but a shaved chin. Although the beard that usually is there looks to be attempting to reassert itself because he doesn't seem to have shaved this morning. Blue eyes, and just he looks He looks like he's had a life well lived, but not particularly well cared for. There are a lot of little scars and nicks. His nose goes some interesting directions between the bridge and the broad tip. But he walks up beside the hobgoblin, shoves his hands in his pockets, and stares up at the iterative map tablet. Says, "So, looks like your pants and your shirt match."
Should I stay or should I come back? I'm sorry, what?
I said your pants and your shirt match. Sounds like you're looking for a guide.
Valdeth's response that is independent of this conversation happening
Yeah.
is just, give it one more pass, see if anything interesting comes up, and then, come on back.
So go ahead and describe what you look like to the person that says your pants and your shirt match.
Yes, his pants and his shirt do indeed match.
Checks off one thing on my
it's-
checklist.
It's in fact armor underneath cold weather gear. He's about 6 foot, medium build, dark brick red skin, black hair, yellow eyes. He's currently got a staff strapped to the back of his back, a flail looped around his hip, and a pair of silver tattoos on his wrists. Gray cloak with the pin on it. Full beard. Also hasn't been kept, so it's a little bit more rugged than normal than he would have liked, but it's been a while, so he just looks down. Yeah, I am looking for a scout. Would you perhaps be one of those? And size him up. He's just wearing cargo shorts and a tank top with suspenders.
Yeah.
And he seems fine in the cold, which should be impressive, I feel.
Cargo pants.
Yeah. Ithram is like bundled. Like he got extra stuff because he's from Desolation.
It seems like he should be cold, but he's not. There is actually, that's a good question, John. Is there mist coming out of his mouth or no?
Yeah, there was some mist coming out of your mouth.
Okay, all right, yeah. Then you can see mist coming out of his mouth, but he looks pretty comfortable. He's like, well, that depends. Are you looking to go hunting the snow foxes, or are you here for the ruins? Because the former I don't know nothing about, but the latter, I spent quite a bit of time down there.
Yes, the ruins. We are looking for what areas are you familiar with the name Uldur?
Am I familiar
Make
with
a history
the name
check.
Uldur? Can I make an insight check?
Yeah, make an
While
insight
he's
check.
answering? Don't worry, Craig, I'm horrible. But I rolled all right.
Oh, I got a natural 1, baby.
That is
You
great.
know exactly where Old Door is. Like
Old Door?
there's any number of old doors down there.
Well, the one on the outhouse beside the bar needs replacing. Let's see. Older than that, though, there's plenty of doors down there. Any particular door are you looking for?
The kingdom of Uldur.
Oh,
There's definitely kingdoms worth of old doors down there. Yeah.
I'm familiar. Let's see, with the kingdom of Lesdor, with the kingdom of Mordor. Not Uldor, though. I must say. Although, to be honest, I'm not here exactly of what you might call a historical bent. Not down there looking for cultural artifacts outside those of a very particular culinary nature.
All right then. How long have you been working?
Sorry, it sounds like you're scrounging for scraps in a dungeon.
That's pretty much it.
Fuck
I
it.
mean,
An
it
apple.
sounds to me like you're scrounging for things to get high off of in a dungeon.
Also not wrong.
Like, that's some straight up, I'm looking for mushrooms shit right there.
I mean, not also not entirely incorrect.
Excellent.
Get along with Titania, great.
Yeah, that thought has gone through his mind.
So he's, I've been out here for nigh on 6 seasons now, which makes me one of the old timers hereabouts. Like I said, not a particular interest in the names or so forth, but any sort of images or pictograms that I might have seen while I was ambling about underground, that sort of thing might jog my memory better.
What is your current rate for the day?
Have I done this before?
Yeah.
Okay. What is my general rate?
Pretty solid rate is about 5 gold a day.
All right.
For depending on how green or touristy the people look, that price can range from 5 to 30 gold a day. If they're real tourists, 30. But if they're just more curious, 5-10.
Well, this guy's pants and shirt match, so no, he says
Doesn't matter his price. Hire him.
So I usually charge 5 gold per day. Of course, I get to keep any sort of recipes or anything that might be in a recipe, anything that might be potable, or anything that might be edible. Aside from that, all of it's yours. Even split on anything that's obvious currency, and I take care of my own my own supplies and so forth, and you have to take care of your own. Although, of course, I can point you in the right direction of where to buy them.
I'm quite set on supplies.
I also sell supplies.
So you would just point me to yourself.
Exactly. Well, the best way to conduct business, am I right? Huh? And I'll elbow whatever I can reach with my elbow, which is probably like mid-thigh.
He's hip. He's not super tall. He's only 6 foot.
Okay.
Which is still the tallest in the group.
How tall is Grummond?
Grumman's probably like just shy of 4 feet.
Okay.
I can pay that. How quickly could you gather your supplies?
He turns and just whistles, and this ramshackle-looking floating cart with no wheels just sort of moves up from one of the shacks, or I guess ice huts that you see behind you, and moves up and sort of parks itself behind him. There's a bunch of junk. It's clearly junk. There are bottles and stuff, but mostly just absolute garbage piled up inside it. And he says, well, that's done. There's also a small piece of paper stuck to the back of it with something written in Dwarvish on it.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's a bumper sticker. I don't know if you speak Dwarvish.
I don't. I speak Primordial, though.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different. Let's see.
I mean, dude just
I
brought
have
out
to
a
check
magic floating cart, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I was checking the wording on teleport. Let's see. Single object or 8 willing creatures. So it can't be. All right. What is that all necessary? He says, like, casually looking it over. I can get it. We must return to the hive with some haste, and the current mode of transportation I wish to employ is a bit restrictive for us and the cart.
How far is the hive from where we're standing?
The hoarder's hall moves kind of slow. It's got a 10-foot fly speed.
Yeah.
So it'd take you at full speed on the cart. It takes you about 2.5 hours to get to the ruins.
Well, I mean, could I teleport there and just have the hull follow me at its own speed, like the luggage from Discworld?
It'll just eventually catch up.
Yeah, exactly.
It only moves if you're within 30 feet of it.
Ah, okay.
If you're not within 30 feet of it, it just stops.
Well, what's your hurry then?
The rest of my party is within the hive and are not risking moving lest they trigger another trap that caused us to separate from our previous guide.
Oh, I see. Well, I suppose I could leave it here. Just take the essentials. And he turns and starts pulling several bottles and jugs. The smaller ones go into pockets. The larger ones he ties with a rope around himself. All right, and he turns and we'll send the hoarder's hall back to his hut. So I'm going to be honest with you there, friend. What's your name, by the way?
I was just about to introduce myself.
Good.
My name is Ithram Volar. I'm a member of the Steelhearts. And yours?
My name's Grumman Bellmender. You've probably met some of my family. We're rather well known out in these parts.
I've met one so far.
Oh, which one was that?
I believe his name was
Though,
Crunchy.
I will say, Grummond.
Yeah.
Read the second paragraph of that item. The hall.
I will. Sorry. But so which one was that then? Oh. All right. Okay. Yep. I totally missed that. All right. Well, he turns, instead of sending it away, he turns and says something to it in Dwarvish, and it shrinks down to a little over 1.5 feet long.
Most of the crap in it spilling out.
And takes the rest of it back to his hut and comes back and just sort of shoves it. I guess we'll actually lash it to his belt. So sorry about that. So
it's all good. I believe their name was Crunchy. My compatriots found them rather swiftly last night, and after what they deemed an appropriate interview, hired them for the guide.
No, so he's the one that ran into a trap then?
Yes, we parted ways. We fixed him as best we could and terminated the contract.
So he's walking his way back then?
He was walking away. I cannot testify to his safety.
Right. Well, if he'd run into a trap, that's one benefit, of course, is that if there are any more traps in that direction, he'll have encountered them, tripped them, and, well, you won't have to worry about at least one more.
I mean, the most he could do, based off of previous experience, the most he can trip is one more. But...
Well, it's a good thing I brought my cart, then. Right, well, interesting. So you don't need a guide to the ruins. You just need someone to walk in front of you in the ruins and see if there's any more traps.
No, we'd like a guide through the ruins. Knowing or detecting the traps would be very helpful. That is a main purpose, one of the main purposes that we would ask you.
Of course. Well, I've detected my share of traps in my day. That's for certain.
Well,
with or without your face?
You're not here.
Hopefully with his face, because without would be very scary. It's just this faceless dwarf wandering through traps.
I did describe the scars and the broken nose, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Before I disarm this trap, takes face off, puts it aside.
Here, hold this.
So he pulls out a small rock out of his pocket, and he goes, "How familiar are you with magical transportation?"
Arcana, I guess?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
Also, probably not so good.
I mean,
Um,
you've definitely seen people, they wiggle their fingers and then things get up and walk around and start moving. That's magical transportation, right?
Oh, I'm quite used to seeing things move on their own, if that's what you're asking about.
Close enough. Don't hold your breath. And I put my hand on his shoulder and I cast teleport to go back to the party.
He starts going.
Make a Constitution saving throw, Grumman.
Okay. 22.
All right, you don't throw up as you land.
Thanks, man.
Valdeth, Tanya, and Sin and Gent. So before they get back, what have you all been doing for the past few hours?
Valdez has probably been just sort of patrolling the area that she knows is actually relatively safe and just trying to see if she can spot any of the traps that might be in the area.
Resting.
Okay.
I'm tired.
Keeping an eye out. But mostly probably playing some solitaire. Like, we're pretty much stuck here for the moment.
All right.
Gent has gone apoplectic to the point of silence.
You do occasionally hear him just start up again. It's like somebody's revving a chainsaw, but it's an elf.
Yep, sounds legit.
He's just spinning the barrels.
I do have to ask, is that normal?
No, he's special kinds of pissed off right now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, he fucking hated Crunchy.
Hated him so much.
You can't spell adventure without error. That particular set him off. You do hear him occasionally, like, spelling the word adventure out, like, just sort of mumbling it.
He's become the thing that's hunting him.
Go ahead and give me a perception check, Valdeth and Sin.
Okay.
Would stone cunning help with identifying traps in what is largely work stone?
No.
Okay.
It would help you identifying the stone.
19!
So, yeah, you're sort of looking around. You could both spot some bits and pieces that are very clearly traps. And then after about an hour, independently, you both see a section of a wall in a hallway, different, apart from where you are, just... And that hallway is now a dead end. And then, Valdeth, you see down a different hallway, the ground just sort of collapse in on itself, and what was a hallway is now a downward slope into a subsection rather than continuing on the same level.
Well, that
I don't think
explains.
guides are going to be the kind of
No.
useful we'd want them to be if this place moves around like that.
Absolutely. No. Guides are still very useful. Crunchy very explicitly showed why guides are useful.
I mean, yes, very true. However, the traditional use for a guide
Yes,
in
no.
finding a path for you.
A guide
I
is
think
going to
is-
be absolutely fucking useless in this situation, as far as telling us where to go. A guide will be very useful as cannon fodder. Or
And
blade fodder, as Crunchy turned out to be.
and for those who've survived here in a while, might sort of have an instinct for the kind of situations where one might find a trap down here.
That as well. I suppose this does explain a lot.
Titania?
Whatever.
I mean,
We're not taking him on again.
I'm sorry?
We're getting a new guide.
I'm not saying that we bring him back, although I would still argue that nothing he did was any less nothing that he did and nothing that happened to him was any less than I would expect of 99% of guides out there.
Okay.
We are all exceptionally skilled individuals going into an extremely dangerous location. Is that fair to say?
Fairly accurate.
I don't know many guides that would be able to do much better. That said, I understand there is some, let's just be polite and call it dissatisfaction.
At this point, when you get the sending message from Ithram, Valda.
Get that for a second. Issue the response, which was something along the lines of take another pass, and if you find anything interesting, then fine. But if not, come back. Yeah. All right. Party will be back with us in a few minutes.
Excellent. Group morale is more important in this situation. In the particular type of trap springer is less important.
We'll see if he's found anything. He didn't have any particulars when he contacted me just now, but see if he finds something in the next few minutes, and then I'll be back here.
We'll see.
Apparently, most of them have already left for the ruins for the day.
We'll see what we can
find. I suppose.
There is a flash of thunder and lightning as Ithram and a dwarf appear. This dwarf looks like it just sort of makes a sound. And then is fine. So the rest of you go ahead and describe yourselves for what Grumman sees. Starting with Jeremy.
Okay. So standing there is a human male, sort of dusky skinned, pretty average in like height, girth, sort of built very much like the I'm going to go out and explore the wild kind of thing. Dressed in, I believe he picked up some local looking clothes. So he actually looks somewhat like potentially a local of the area. Hood up, hood of the cloak currently up. There's sort of dark hair behind it, and what can only be described as in terms of facial hair, the Lemmy without this part of the mustache.
All right, the perfect image of what that looks like. All right,
and as far as your perspective is, definitely the clothes definitely fit like what a local would wear. They are not worn enough to be a local, though.
Yes. Oh no, very much.
Okay.
All right, and William.
Valdeth is a female dwarf of the beardless variety. Long brown hair that stretches probably about mid-back, wearing very heavy, like, winter clothing, mostly browns and blacks, heavy fur lining, with, as I forget the coloration of my own character's eyes. Green eyes, metallic gauntlets of definitely like ornate and high quality, sort of like solid black metal with gold trims and sort of red gem red gem fixtures in them, but that's the only metal that she's wearing at the moment. There's a metal rod, like a scepter, that she's holding in one hand, but no other equipment of like particular martial note.
Except for the great sword on your back.
That's in the armory. So is the gunblade. She's just holding the rod right now. You said you were just shy of 5 or 4 feet.
If I'm thinking of the right height, probably just shy of 4. I mean, he's relatively short and broad.
Yeah. Okay. Because then significantly taller as well for a dwarf, because she's at the highest end of the typical mountain dwarf height at 4'8".
Okay. Yeah, he's a hill dwarf.
Yeah.
How old does everybody appear to be, by the way? I forgot to ask the first couple people who went.
Valdeth is relatively young for a dwarf. You'd peg her age at about 50.
Okay. All right.
Probably about late 30s for human.
Ithram, it's hard to tell because you've never seen a hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Ithram looks like he might be 18 and he might be 75. You have no real bar by which to judge.
All hobgoblins look fairly weathered, especially the ones that come from Desolation.
Fair.
He is adult.
Okay.
And then Mara.
Titania is a young elf. She's 101, so she is also an adult. But same height as Valdeth. She's like 5 foot. Kind of skin that looks a little bit like bark. And her hair is currently long and mostly pale, but turning green on the edges because she is in her spring aspect. But she does not look happy at all. She looks grumpy. She looks cold because she had some cold weather clothes, but not enough for this. And she's got little like orange pink mushrooms sprouting out of various places. And is holding a staff that with like that kind of curves up into a crook that looks like it is made partially of glass and is holding itself together by magic entirely.
And now for the challenge, I want Gent's fiancés to describe him.
He's a half elf.
Yeah, so Gent is half elf, with
tall.
the very much the like mid-length blonde hair.
His hair is not blonde. It's red.
Is it red? Okay.
Yeah.
Going great so far.
Yeah.
It's good. I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, let me describe Jack's character.
That's why I wanted you two to do it, because you're the fiancés. Describe the man you look at lovingly every day.
He also looks grumpy and tired.
So I say, definitely also grumpy and tired.
Carrying a gun.
Yeah, carrying a like highly ornate Emperor's Virtue was like mostly gold.
Like a pistol.
It's a gold with like pearl handle grips and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like mostly golden pistol with pearl handle grip. Dressed in very, very the heaviest clothing that he could find for the area, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he's the tallest of the three of us.
Yes. Uh-huh. He's like a normal height.
Like average height for human half elf.
Like 5'8" or something.
Yeah. He's not nearly as tall as Ithram, but he's close.
He is nearly as tall as Ithram at 5'10".
5'10"?
He's exactly 2 inches shorter than Ithram.
Oh, and this is very important. None of us have rings. None. No.
No rings?
No rings.
Okay.
You don't know why
that's
No, Valdeth has a ring.
He's not wearing it. That was the whole problem.
No. Valdeth has a different ring.
Oh yeah, Valdeth has the signet ring of her family.
The septum ring.
Oh yes, the septum ring that she's wearing
as
as a ring.
As a ring.
Yep. It's very long in joke. Don't worry.
But yeah, if Ithram has like the comb over hair, if I recall correctly, like that's like fold over on one side and like shaved on the other side.
An undercut, yes.
Yeah, the undercut.
Yeah. Yeah, he has undercut and tattoos, like arcane
like arcane tattoos going up the side of him.
Along like here, I think. Something like that. Anyway. I think
let Jack actually describe his character when he's back next week.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, I will. I just really wanted to see how accurate the fiancés could get. So yeah, Ghent is a fairly young looking half elf.
I was thinking blonde because Gwen Ferron was blonde.
Ghent's a fairly young looking half elf, ginger red hair, fair skin, blue eyes, about 5'10", fairly lean, dressed as nicely as he could be with the heavy winter clothes. Yes, with a very large golden pistol, revolver on one hip, and what looks like a piece of bone hanging off the other side of his hip, as well as a bag and a few other things, and a few various technological knickknacks. But yes, so you all see Grummond, and Grummond, you see them.
All right. Hello. Oh, and I forgot. Grummond also has tattoos. He has sort of a very blocky geometric representation of either barley or grain coming up from the back of the hand and wrapping around both forearms.
Hello.
Valdeth also has several tattoos, but they're all covered right now, so not relevant.
Yeah, same.
Wait,
same
you have
with
tattoos?
Yeah, I have magic tattoos.
Oh, that's right. I remember that now. Anyway,
just has regular ones that haven't. On his right arm, he's got one that looks like that.
Well, it didn't lie to me. All of you have got shirts and pants that match. Very impressive. Hello, I'm Grummond. I'll be your new guide. Understand you met my cousin, Crunchy?
Yeah. Hello.
Don't worry. If we find him again, I've got a cart to haul his corpse back.
Oh. All right. Okay. You're gonna need to sign a contract. I pull out. I'm running out of these forms. I don't think I have one like ready made. Okay. So I do a little bit of necromancy.
Crunchy didn't sign it. He just sort of like gave you a piece of his hair.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, I pull out a very well folded, very worn looking piece of paper, hand it over. I do a little bit of necromancy, and I want to know if I need to know if you are okay if you happen to become deceased, to be made a zombie. Or not, and how you feel about reincarnation, which is the one that makes you possibly come back in a different sort of body. Against, it's just a form with like 3 boxes.
It's a consent form.
Or no. Yeah.
It's a consent form. Necromancy, resurrection, reincarnation.
Yep.
YN.
Can I make an Arcana check to see if I know anything about Circle of the Spore druids?
Be a religion check, or a nature check, one of the two.
I think they are all equally bad.
Oh boy.
4. Okay. Have I? Okay, I got a 3. So I'm assuming that makes the necromancy comment. I don't make any connection with the fact that there are mushrooms on this person.
Nope.
Okay. What does the Marduk? What does Marduk feel about zombies?
Marduk is pretty chill with everything. Marduk doesn't like zombies much. But it's not really the zombies' fault, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the zombies' fault that they're zombies.
Okay.
It's you punch the person that made the zombies. You don't punch the zombies. They're just doing what they do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they're only bad if the person that made the zombies are like doing evil, right? This is like this is a sermon you would have heard from like a priest of Marduk, from like a finger of Marduk. It's like they're only really bad, in certain circumstances, right? Because in other circumstances they might be helping you, and in some circumstances they might be, attacking you. So like punch the ones that are attacking you, but don't punch the ones that are helping you.
Okay. All right. So Grumman stands for a moment, sort of takes Titania up and down, or up and up, I guess, as a dwarf, and says, "How much sugar is in those?" And he points to the mushrooms.
Excuse me?
I was just wondering if they'd fermented all. In the alternative, do they produce any sort of alcohol-soluble toxin?
You've met someone who's interested in your mushrooms.
I don't know. She's going to you see spores just sort of like starting to coalesce around you. She's kind of, this is weird. I don't know about this. It's like a 30-foot. It's like a little aura.
Well, I tell you what. I haven't seen anything that looks like those before. If you give me a few of them, I'll sign off on this form. I'll try a few things with your mushrooms. You can do whatever you want with my corpse. How's that sound?
Ithram is like behind, looking down at him, like, what the fuck?
You get to drink it first off, unless that would be weird. I understand that might be a little strange, but if you want it, I'll give you first sip if it comes out potable. Or even if it doesn't, no shame here. Whatever you're into.
Did you just get out weird party person
Yes,
by a
yes,
dwarf?
I did. It was good. I think they're like part of me. I can sort of feel through them, kind of.
Oh, that's disappointing. All right, what the hell? I tell you what, you find any other good... All right, that's a deal then.
And he will cheerfully check off the zombie box and sign at the bottom.
Okay. What? Revivify? Or
right.
reincarnation?
Yeah, that's.
I won't do it if you don't want to. This is all voluntary. I just need to know.
No, just don't change my name as a whole branding thing. So.
Sure. What's your name?
Oh, Gran Bellmender, and he'll write it in print,
Okay.
both in common and then in dwarven runes below where he signs.
Lovely to meet you. I am Princess Titania Valkorian.
Oh, princess. Well, have you ever been to? You might have come through a lovely seaside town where I'm from. I might be familiar with the Bellmender Brewery. It's in. It's not ayahuasca. What's it? Iascurva.
That's the continent.
Iascurva.
Yeah, it's a lovely seaside town.
don't
Popular
think so.
with tourists, those of means. Perhaps some of the rest of you have traveled through it. Oh, come now, surely all of you have heard of Swiggle, the city of pores.
No. But I'm not very good at geography.
Really? Oh, my God! There's a rather famous tale about it. Surely you will have heard of Planescape Ferment.
No.
Oh, it's lovely. Oh, you have to come by. Bellmenders, we're, if I do say so myself, quite populous and popular there. But my own family moved away from mending bells, as you might have guessed, moved into the culinary arts and specifically brewing. But the leader of the city is a lovely married there, fond of the arts of brewing and of cooking. Provides all of us with the finest of fermentables. The Lady of Grain, we call her, watches over the city.
Argon? That Lady of Green?
Argon is the goddess of the harvest.
Oh, all right.
It's really in character for Grumman to go, who?
That's fair.
Is Argon actually your goddess, or is it a different like harvest goddess or god?
I would assume there are temples, given the state of Swiggle, there are temples to Argon.
Oh, absolutely.
He's an adherent of Marduk, but
yeah. Okay.
yeah, that within context, that would probably make more sense. The patron deity of Swiggle is Argon, the Lady of Grain.
Yeah, but you can also refer to the Merit as the Lady of Grain if you so desire.
That
right,
sounds lovely.
So a princess, so that explains the matching outfits then. Or all the rest of your royalty. May need to brush up on my manners. And he starts wiping his gloves sort of down the sides of his sleeveless shirt.
2 of us are nobility, but not quite the same.
4.
Oh.
No, 2 of us are nobility. You're royalty.
Okay. Well, 3 nobility. Ithram.
No.
I don't think nobility qualifies.
This big.
He's a chieftain's son,
Yeah.
but I don't think that makes him a noble.
Close. Anyway.
Grumman is looking around and he says, so all sorts of nobility then. Well, as I'm sure your friend Ithram explained to you, my rate is 5 gold pieces apiece.
Looked at Ithram.
Anyway, my name is Thane Valdeth.
I pay him
And
5
get
gold.
ignored.
No, but he looks back at you.
Is that accurate?
His rate?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Ithram, he said 5 gold pieces.
He said 5 gold a person.
A person as opposed to
Oh
a day.
no! I heard a day. I heard a day when he said it. No. The price we agreed upon was 5 gold a day. Much like your cousin. If you wanted to renegotiate, Valdeth is the leader of the group, so feel free to renegotiate whenever.
Have I been in this particular part of the hive before? I'll look around.
Oh
and
yeah.
see if I recognize.
Oh yeah.
it.
No,
Okay.
you don't know the name of it, but
Okay.
yeah, no, you've been here before. Like it's
Alright.
there was a hallway over there the other day, and there was a hole in the ground over there the other day, and there was a really nice it was like a pineapple tree. It was over there in that corner. It's gone. I mean, all this is gone now, obviously, but
Yeah.
You've been here before.
Okay. Yeah. He looks around and shrugs and says, think nothing of it. Just should have gotten more details ahead of time. Nah, 5 a day is fine. So, which way are we headed?
Yes. For the rest of us that need to introduce ourselves, I'm Jarl Valdeth Stonebeard of the Kingdom of Everstone, head of the House Stonebeard. This is Gent Minar of the House Minar of Tiram, and then indicate to
Marathon. No current nobility, shall we say. No granted title. There is plenty of nobility, just no. I'm sure you understand.
And ambition is something I can understand and appreciate.
Do I recognize any of these titles, these houses or names?
Give me a history check.
Jesus, a lot of int rolls. 16.
You keep asking if you know things. You know Tiram.
Okay.
You don't know any of the names related to Tiram, but you know Tiram. That is a big city on the other side of the world.
Okay.
It's like, it's the equivalent of someone in the States knowing where Hong Kong is, kind of thing. It's like, it's big city over there.
Okay. Fair.
You know Everstone. Bunch of hoity-toity dwarves over there. Like, bunch of hoity-toity. I mean hoity-toity dwarves over there.
How hoity and or toity does this one appear?
This one? Valdeth,
Yeah.
how hoity and or toity do you appear?
I mean, probably hoity, maybe not toity.
So capital
Okay.
H, lowercase t.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
She is decidedly bears herself with a sense of importance,
Okay.
but isn't necessarily wearing anything super ornate aside from her gauntlets.
Yeah, Stonebeard doesn't doesn't mean anything particular to you, but Everstone, you're familiar conceptually with Everstone.
Okay.
Yeah, and you heard someone mention desolation, or has that been said out loud?
Yes, desolation has been mentioned.
Yeah, desolation is a big sort of blasted wasteland on over across the Shattered Isles from across the Shattered Isles on Leftheria. It's this large wasteland kind of place where apparently giant monsters roam. You've never been. It's one of those, like, scary stories that occasionally gets told about.
Okay. That's where Ethram said they were from?
Yeah, that's where Ithram's from.
All right. He will just sort of nod in response to each person. And then is looking around to figure out what is. I guess being the hive, it's tough to tell which direction they might have come from because that direction may not be there anymore.
Yeah. As you look around, there's still bodies in this room, which means this room hasn't changed very much very recently. You can still identify bodies on traps. So probably this room, you're thinking the last time you were in this room was probably a month ago, so it hasn't changed very much, which means probably you can sort of guess at where the entrance used to be.
Okay. All right, so which direction are you all looking to head from here? And which one did you come from, if it's still here?
Did we come from that way?
Valdeth will...
Marith
having... Yeah. Valdeth and Marith are like, that way. We came from that way.
Yeah, it's the one that you saw the wall collapse in on.
We want to go and just point in a general direction, probably the exact 180 degrees in the other direction, and we want to go that way generally.
And down.
And down.
East.
Yes.
East and down.
We're trying to find...
Eastbound and down?
Yes.
Load them up and trucking.
We're trying to find the phylactery of a lich.
That.
Oh. Why?
To break it.
We killed him, and now we need to kill him again and make sure he stays dead.
All right, that's good. I had to ask. I already had to sign a necromancy waiver, so I figured it was worth asking. Good. What's the name of this fella then?
Rhyhor, I believe it was.
Correct.
Have I heard that before?
Nope.
And or Gavis is the other name we
There's
think.
there's an potential association with the name Gavis as well.
That name you do know.
Okay.
Gavis is one of the sort of like figures talked about on the continent related to the founding of the Azure Legion. Which is the Azure Legion is this sort of, it's a widespread knightly order on Eos Corva that sort of headquarters in Avalon to the south, to the far south, so almost as far south as you can go. If you look on the map, that red, you can look towards the bottom of Eos Corva, you can see the red dot down there where it says Avalon.
Yeah.
You guys are up there by the red X's. You're in the red X's of the ruin, so that gives you an idea of how far away that is.
Sure.
But yeah, so the Ivory Legion, the Azure Legion are headquartered in Avalon. They're this knightly order of blue cloaked heroes that basically go forth and do good is their mandate, kind of thing. Think King Arthur, but if the bill of goods he sold was accurate. As opposed to being less accurate. They go forth, do good things, rescue people, kill monsters, kind of shtick. And that name, the second name, Gavis is the name of one of the founders of it from centuries ago.
All right, good deal. Thank you. I will turn then and look in the direction that they have indicated they want to go, east and down. Have I been that direction?
Oh yeah, you've been all over this section.
Okay. Does it look relatively similar? You said 3 weeks ago I was here. Does it look relatively similar, or is it totally changed?
The last time you went down and east, there was another entrance over here that isn't there right now.
Okay.
Thinking about it, go ahead and give me a survival check.
Okay.
Before we get moving, could you perhaps make use of this? And he pulls out a 1-foot metal rod, turns it on its side, just pops it out, and it's a 10-foot pole.
Oh, it certainly won't turn my hand away from something that might come in handy. Certainly.
And I will take it and see if I can figure out how to retract it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to collapse it back.
Okay. So I will hold it and use it if I need to poke at something.
You typically travel like in your hull because it's easy to just throw treasure into it, and also it hovers, so you can avoid a lot of traps. So with a 13, you figure you're probably going to go. You remember a chasm, like 2 or 3 sections east of here, that you can pretty reliably find and clamber down a few levels. So that'd probably be your first destination.
Okay. I will pull out the little, at this point, is 17, 18-inch long. It probably is much more noticeable as something organic when it's that small. Pulls it out, says "Stand back for me, please," and says another word in Dwarvish. For anyone who speaks Dwarvish, it's the word "imbiggen," and it just turns into a about the size of a large cart, but shaped more like a canoe. And he hops up into it, extends the pole, and starts sort of like almost like he's rowing himself along, but it's more he's tapping at squares on the ground as he moves ahead of him.
How much weight can that hold?
Did you say weight or wood?
Weight.
Drummond opens his mouth, and words come out very slowly. I'm sorry, I don't
Bottom
remember.
Bottom of the card.
I know, I'm just trying to find it because I'd scrolled up to look at other stuff. So it can hold 750 pounds.
You use that to avoid traps?
Mostly I use it to haul stuff back out and things for the journey along,
Which he says as he is pulling the various jugs and bottles and so forth from his pockets and that are strapped to his person and placing them back into the cart.
Ithram, you can very easily tell that, especially now that you're up close to it, this is made out of like the horn of a dragon. It's like the horn of a dragon's been turned into a wheelbarrow, basically.
I'll save the identify for later. But perhaps I've had an idea. I've had an idea, but perhaps we might make use of it. Would everybody be willing to wait about 10 minutes? I have a spell that may allow us for a time to utilize both this and other means of passage to avoid the traps set on the ground.
I can ride my staff. Do we have enough room in there for everyone else then?
It doesn't need to, not everybody needs to fit in there. If perhaps 2 people sat on the disc I'm about to summon.
Sorry, what?
I can summon a disc that will also levitate, that will allow us to bypass most of the floor traps.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Read that disc carefully, by the way.
500 pounds is the limit.
That's not the part you need to read carefully.
Yeah.
Isn't it only like an hour?
Yeah, it's an hour.
That's also not the part you need to read carefully.
It only follows you. It doesn't move under its own power.
Oh shit! Yeah, no. It also, well, no, it follows me, but it also can't go down more than a 10-foot.
Yeah, it's like one level.
Well, Imrith could get into the quarters hall.
So it can go down slopes and stuff, but if we ever have to go down a cliff
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah,
anything
it
like
can't,
that,
it can't,
that
it
Then we'll
can't
have to
descend.
We will have to reevaluate at that point. But if you're on the
if I'm in the
card,
if I'm in the canoe, that can just follow us.
Yeah.
it will still be following you.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't do the mistake I did, which was think you could stand on it and have it move.
No, I
Yeah,
Someone
no,
else
no.
would have to
wish.
stand on it and have it
I
move.
fucking wish.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Ithram would just be like floating everywhere,
Mhm.
sitting down, reading books the whole time. So yeah, he'll take 10 minutes, and at the end of it, he'll drop a bit of mercury that stops and then kind of just spiders out into a looks like red electricity, and then just solidifies into the mercury. All aboard.
How cold is it down here, by the way? When you get down this distance into the hive, is it that sort of consistent underground temperature?
It gets
is it-
warmer the further down you go,
Okay.
because outside is very cold.
Right.
And so in here you're free from the chill. The problem is that occasionally there are areas where water flows through the ruins, and in those areas the temperature drops again. So it's
Okay.
it's sort of an inconsistent amount of temperature as you go down. It'll be warmer where it's enclosed and nice and tight, but when it breaks open at certain areas, the cold air from the outside comes in and water might come in. So
as we're waiting, Grumman pulls out an earthenware jug, pulls a cap that's tied around the neck of it, pulls it out of the top, takes a swig, and then offers it around. Says, "Here, something warming for you while we wait. It's made of apples, mostly apples,
Quite all right. I'm good. Thank you, though.
of course."
I appreciate it. Yeah, while we're waiting, since we are officially dungeoneering at this point, Marith will go ahead and summon his sword, so just in case we get attacked, I don't have to spend my first action like, okay, let me get my weapon out.
So what does that look like when you summon it?
I feel like it's very Highlander-esque. And that he reaches behind, because he's wearing he reaches behind, like sort of under the cloak, and then just pulls it from what we used to jokingly way back in the days when the Highlander TV show was a thing, a glorious, wonderful thing, used to call the sphincter of holding, because that's the only place they could possibly hold those damn swords. And just comes out with it. Way bigger than it looks like he should be able to wield comfortably.
What's in this? I look down at the jug.
Like I said,
Apples?
apples. Mostly apples. Right.
Sure, I'll drink some. What's it taste like? Apples?
It tastes like a very, very strong apple brandy.
Okay.
Very warming.
All right. That's good. I pass it along.
Ithram will take a swig between words.
Yeah.
Little bit of something similar to cinnamon in it, but mostly just like an apple brandy.
Yeah. Also, so the sword that
Yeah.
what's your character name again right now?
Marith.
Marith pulls out is this large, like very ornate and fancy looking great sword. with sort of gold filigree embedded into the edges of the blade. Red leather hilt with gold pommel, crossguard, and sort of a large purple gem embedded just in where the is it called the faux shard? No, it's not called a faux shard. The ricassa,
Right.
which is the section of the blade right after the pommel, or right after the hilt, or right after the hilt.
That's a beaut you got there.
Thank you. I'm quite fond of it.
If you don't mind my asking, is the whole thing magical or merely your way of storing it?
The whole thing is. Yes.
I got to be honest with you. Normally, I don't go in for things not made by hand, but good on you. That's a fine bit of work.
Oh no!
You've done.
To be clear, it is a physical object. It's not merely a conjuration.
I see. Well, my compliments to the smith, and if that's you, then doubly so.
It is most certainly not me, no. But it might as well be now because it's mine.
Well, it does you well, and you do it credit.
Thank you.
Dungeon train, choo choo.
So you summon the disc. You get in the horde. Who gets on the disc?
On the disc, I'll hop on.
Perhaps.
Get in, losers. We're going dungeoneering.
I'm gonna fly alongside the boat on my staff.
All right,
It's a broom of flying.
Sen on the disc, Valdeth, Gent, Ithram, and Grummond in the boat, or in the hall. You take off down one of the hallways, Grummond leading the way. And on that note, we're going to take a break. If you're watching on Twitch, be sure to stay tuned for these commercial messages. And also remember, when we take our break, you take your break. So stand up, stretch your legs, grab a drink, use your bathroom, whatever you need to do. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back! A dinosaur story. So, the Steelhearts and their newfound companion.
Guys, let's not get carried away.
Yeah, why did you make that sound so salacious?
Because everything I say sounds salacious. I have a condition. Literally everything I say sounds salacious. I can't help it.
Just while we're traveling, since it's also a ritual,
Uh-huh.
just gonna every once in a while just be ritually casting detect magic.
Okay. So, Grummond. Give me a perception check, Grummond.
Is Counter's Disc a concentration?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
14.
That'd be the lamest concentration spell.
You stub your toe and your friend collapses. So with a 14, you're sort of traveling. You're guiding them down, using your floating haul to get around most of the traps, and occasionally using stopping the haul and thus the convoy and going showing off your expertise by triggering a trap with that 10-foot pole that you've really come to like. Occasionally just sort of reaching up and swatting a stone, which causes a parade of spears to come clattering down on the other side, hitting a few skeletons that are on the rocks, and as opposed to hitting you all. And just sort of guiding down the sort of twisting, collapsed corridor formed from the ruins of multiple different civilizations. You're starting to sort of get a familiarity with where you're at, Grummond. You've been here a few times coming through, and you know that there's a layer change soon. And for as far as frontier speak, a layer change is where the architecture very drastically gets different, as opposed to the architecture is a blending of multiple different kingdoms as you go through it. But when you hit a layer change, you're actually delving deeper into a section where it's more predominantly one kingdom structure than another. These tend to be pockets of the hive that are more stable. And so, while they still change, they tend to certain patterns tend to emerge more often that are more identifiable. These would be the names of the sections of the ruin that the map seller, that the iterative map seller sells. So, where you were just at is basically known as the entry hive, which is the preliminary first place where all the entrances appear in this particular area of the hive. You're about to delve into the underburrow, which was a residential area that was built underneath another kingdom. So it's like you can in the underburrow you can more often make out like residential areas and places of business and shops like that, which is one of your more favorite hunting grounds because that's where you find those recipes and things that might have survived.
Okay.
So you can tell that's coming up in a little bit as you're sort of clearing this hallway of traps while floating. With whatever you want to do with that information.
Yeah, I will pass all of this along as we're moving along.
So you are all being educated on the stratification of the ruins.
It's like half tour guide and sort of half your uncle telling you semi-boring stories about where he grew up. So it's okay. So we're coming up on what a lot of the academics in the area call a layer change. Now, right over there is where I lost one of my toes one time when a door came down, sheared it off, had to carry it back in my pocket. This pocket right here, look, you still see the stain. Someone had to stitch it back on. And over here, we're moving into the underhive. So it's
You're very good at this. Titania's enthralled. This is perfect. Best tour. Usually they're like too academic and boring. This is the right amount of everything. I'm into it.
And he will offer drinks as we move on, sort of paired with the areas of the hive.
Oh no, okay. Yeah, she's probably getting tipsy by this point. It's fine.
Oh yeah, no, this is also much better alcohol than you found in the bar.
Yeah, no, this is very nice.
So the next area that we're moving into, what culture is that associated with?
There isn't any specific culture that you're familiar with. The underborough seems like it was a to you, it strikes you as interesting because it's like every single kingdom has some layer of underborough to it. It strikes you as this is probably where the people that didn't want to be there, or didn't have a lot of money, or both, sort of were kept.
Okay.
And it's not really associated with any one time period or kingdom. It's just sort of an ever-present layer of the hive.
Got it.
Well,
Thank you.
While that's going on, Marith will look over at Veldith and say, "So, how many days do we have left theoretically?"
I've been keeping track, and I just don't know how many days we've gone by. We were still at 4 days left. Yeah, we got 4 days.
3 days is what I have.
3?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you've had a rest since you got here.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we've got 3 days to find this phylactery before the lich returns to its body.
And well, I am absolutely confident we will do so. What is our contingency plan?
Kill it again. This time it won't have its entire power base and fortress of necromantic energies to hide behind, which
unless
we were able to kill it through all of that last time.
Unless it hit its power base in another necromantic lair.
Potentially. But that's information we don't have yet, and we can't plan around what we don't really know. We can take an estimate, but ultimately,
the contingency for a reason.
Yes, but we don't know how much we're going to have to plan around.
No, of course not. But
ultimately, if we're too late to stop the lich from reforming, then it's a matter of destroying the phylactery as best we can and then dealing with the lich.
And do we have a plan for destroying the phylactery?
That's something that our wizard is going to have to try and see if he can find answers to, because I am not that versed in that level.
He holds up a single finger and there's a slight green glow. This disintegrates. Works on most things.
It does.
If it doesn't, we take it and find somewhere that we can have it destroyed.
Actually, I know exactly who can fucking destroy the thing if we can't just disintegrate it.
We're not taking it north.
No. I'm talking about Adam.
What does this thing look like, if you know?
We don't.
Searching around for anything sort of that feels phylacterish.
It will be an object of very high quality and it will look very, 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 very expensive.
And probably in pride of place and probably surrounded by traps.
It will often, in most cases, I've done some research into Lichdom in some of my searchings. It often, but doesn't always look like a container of some type. Because it's meant to hold a soul.
Of course.
But not necessarily. It could be a cage. It could be a gem. It could be
Bottle.
a bottle.
All right, but before we go smashing those,
No, we're not smashing.
we will
your
check
bottles.
we will check for proofs on this side first.
all right. So, although I'll be fair, I'll be honest with you. Some of the ones I've got in here, and he gestures to some of the jugs. We got less proof, more circumstantial evidence, sort of thing. If you follow me.
It could conceivably be a very well prepared, particularly enhanced in terms of material value corpse.
That's as well.
Like an extremely extravagant mummy.
Something to that effect. There are all sorts of phylacteries.
When we think we're getting close, I can try and seek it out. But if it's hidden magically, then it doesn't work.
Which it seems like a given that someone that magically powerful would hide the thing that is their life's line from detection magic.
Maybe.
But we're looking for concentrations of traps, any particularly fancy treasure, that sort of thing.
Yes. They do tend to be very difficult to destroy.
Oh, and we think he was in love with Bard. Maybe.
All right. So sort of a engagement ring, friendship bracelet sort of thing.
Potential, like, that's a fair point. They might have a certain amount of sentimental value for them, and from what we can tell of this person's history, being spurned by this legendary musician is part of what led them down this road.
An instrument. The person, the love's heart. The love.
I don't know.
All possibilities. It will, if it is not difficult to destroy, it will probably have a guardian of some kind, obviously.
Could you, Meredith, show them with your illusory magic the motif? The type of motifs? Was that?
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
was that you, or was that?
We did a drawing.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Show
I
the
pull out
drawing.
the sketch. Yeah.
Yeah, because your illusions are all self-based, so
correct.
I forgot.
And he hadn't seen it
well,
yet, so.
It's not illusion, but yes.
Yeah.
So I pulled out a sketch. It's of this pillar that we found in the Lich's palace. And it has like, what did it have? Like a magician, a knight,
noble.
A noble.
A noble and the muse.
Something else. There was, yeah.
The muse.
Mm-hmm. So.
Okay. Yeah, so it's this sort of.
Might look like that.
It's a mural, effectively, with that has like sort of a graphic story being told. Make me a history check.
All right then. Stop clock is right twice a day, but not this time of day. That's a 1.
It's an unnatural 1, to be fair.
Yes.
I mean, there are lots of places with murals throughout the ruins. Like the all various kingdoms enjoyed, leaving markings both of their magnificent past of 5 years, and their glorious future not yet written or ever achieved. So there's lots of murals. It's particularly difficult to tell which ones are real narratives and which ones are sort of like hopeful narratives. Nothing about this in particular jumps out at you, but that doesn't mean you haven't seen it before.
Okay.
We'll be looking for that style of extremely gothic architecture as well in general.
Okay. All right. Well,
You definitely imagine
file that
it's
away at least for reference.
You definitely imagine it's going to be under the Underborough.
Okay. Well, probably farther to go then. Got to get deeper, as you said.
About the 50-minute mark is when Ithrin starts casting, ritual casting Tensor's floating disc again to just re-up it underneath whoever's sitting on it.
Okay.
Appreciated.
Sin does not fall on her ass.
Yep.
Or his ass.
So once we do get, let's say worst comes to worst, we don't find it in 3 days. We're fighting the Lich. What tactics did you observe? What can we use?
He had a field around him that you couldn't, if someone went unconscious, they couldn't be raised. I could still heal within it, I think.
I see.
Yeah. But
specifically, it was only if they were taken down by necromantic magic.
Yeah.
If they took necrotic damage,
which is pretty much what he was using, I think, the whole time. So
that would make sense.
Yeah.
And
it didn't happen, but he might be able to raise people from the dead that way, or raise them into zombies, bad kind of zombies, not like mine.
Right. Without the waiver.
Mm-hmm.
He is still a wizard of some reputable power.
Yes, he didn't seem...
Knows that the chief of which them normally are.
Yes, of course.
He didn't seem all that concerned with battlefield mobility. He mostly stayed what he was and threw his magic. Very potent and effective, but he didn't seem all that concerned with maneuvering.
Killed me last time.
Oh, all right.
You got better.
Mm-hmm. So I'll probably try and do that again.
So, my understanding was you are usually the one who's in charge of bringing folks back. So, who did the bringing back in that situation?
Good question. I forget. Out of game, I forget who did the resurrection there.
Take a guess. Who was the only other person there that could revivify?
Adam.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think Titania would know, but yeah.
That was Adam, the person who had gone with us that time. A particular, he's a paladin, or is he? No, he's a fighter, but he's the Bone Knight archetype. Yeah.
Yep.
A warrior of divine magic.
Is that anyone I would know from Snowstrand?
Adam? No.
Okay.
He's not here though. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear he was at the time then.
We know that he has the ability to snuff out life force instantly if it's not strong enough to resist. So our wizard will need to be holding up his counter magics for such a contingency.
You'll have some help in that.
Appreciated.
I have all number of tricks and the like to deal with spellcasters.
Well, that's good to know. Have I encountered any spellcasters or magic users throughout the hive?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's all sorts down here.
If we
some people get stuck here and just sort of decide to make it their home.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Should this Rhyhor manage to come out of their phylactery, what happens if we destroy the phylactery while he's active?
I don't fully understand everything about a lich, but from what I've gathered, it doesn't kill them instantly. But they're no longer able to restore themselves if you do destroy them after that.
Yes. We would just have to destroy them if we when we destroyed them after that, they would not be able to reconstitute.
What happens if the phylactery is not on this plane?
They will reconstitute near that.
Even if it is on a different plane?
It's still a physical thing that they are attached to. It doesn't matter where it is, they will come back near it.
Fair. Okay.
I like where you were thinking now.
Yes, I wasn't sure if that was a concern.
It'll still take him some time. Was it hard to kill him last time?
I mean,
it was intensive.
It was an intense fight, but
and it was difficult, yes.
So maybe
we were also tired from marching through that fortress repeatedly.
How vulnerable was he to being psychically fooled with?
He seems resistant to most forms of mental manipulation. I don't know about direct psychic damage, but we weren't able to get a hold on his mind, those of us who had mental manipulation powers.
Didn't have too much opportunity. Like most undead, though.
Can't be held person.
No.
Yes, cannot be held or...
Held person or just held? Those are two separate things.
I didn't try to hold him. We don't have that kind of relationship.
Paralyzed, I believe, is the particular.
Well, no, I mean...
Could not be magically paralyzed.
Casting the spell known as Hold Person. And then
that
there is casting the spell known as Hold Monster. He is not a person. He is an undead.
I didn't try that one.
Well, also, she tried the wand of paralysis, which is...
I think it's...
Which is Hold Person.
Hold Person.
Oh, it is Hold Person.
Is it Hold Person?
Yes, it is.
That explains a lot.
I also tried Hold Monster on the knight, and that didn't work. So...
Very well.
Wand of Paralysis doesn't care the creature type.
Yeah, Wand of Paralysis is not Hold Person. It's Paralyzed.
Okay. Yeah.
It's status effect Paralyzed.
Which is also the thing that Hold Person does, but...
that has specific caveats about undead or not.
Was he was he that you are aware of? I realize you've only had one fight. There's not there's a lot of things that may not have been tried. How resistant is he to physical alteration?
I don't think we tried that.
and just to clarify the point real quick, from a rules perspective, Hold Monster and Hold Person both paralyze.
Yes.
Wand of Paralysis, the difference is Hold Person cares about certain characteristics. Hold Monster doesn't care about characteristics. Wand of Paralysis doesn't give a fuck what you are. It applies the paralyzed status effect. So it's more like Hold Monster than
functionally
Hold Person.
It's a Hold Monster.
Yeah, more functionally it's more Hold Monster.
Without the actual spell. Right.
Yeah. Though Hold Monster also has no effect on undead.
Yeah. Ithram has that, and who knows.
Wand of Paralysis would technically have an effect on the undead if
they weren't immune to paralysis.
If it wasn't immune to paralysis.
Right.
Most of my spells are of the evocative nature, at least when it comes to fights.
Mine are a touch more tricksy. I have some physical directly, not fireballs or the like, more making heads explode and that sort of thing. But generally, no, I prefer working a little bit more subtly.
I don't think any of us tried to change his form. There were certainly some polymorph spells being cast, but not on him.
All right. Well, I will probably keep my magic in check at that sort of thing for counters and dispels and the like. But should it come to it, and I have an extra ability to do so, we'll see how it goes.
I just want to point out the fact that the person that just said I prefer to work in more subtle ways is carrying a big fuck off golden greatsword.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
No, it's not. It's not that either statement is true. It's a funny. It's a funny.
Yes, no,
image.
absolutely.
I prefer to work in more subtle ways.
When I said absolutely true, I meant that is true. He is carrying a big fuck off door.
At this point, the Hoarder's Hall rolls to a halt. As you find yourselves all sitting or standing or hovering next to the edge of a vast chasm. You can see the other side. It looks like it's probably about 70 feet across, but the drop looks like it goes down a good 150 feet, all told, into just darkness. But you can see that there are layers to the cliff faces. It's not just like a straight cliff face. It's like the floor crumbles away, there's a bit of ground and rubble, and then there's open air, and then there's buildings and ruins, and then air, and then more rubble. So on and so forth. A fly just flew into my mouth.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Well, it's dead now. You know, I think about eating 1,000 spiders every night.
Got one out of the way.
One gone early. It just flew right in there. I was in the middle of talking, and a fly rudely flew into my mouth.
Yeah, just a tiny witness me.
I feel like the general thing is you eat 10 spiders a year. If John eats 1,000 a night, then that's a great explanation of average versus median. Everybody else eats none, and John's out there doing it for all of us.
Doing the Lord's work. All right.
The fly's the bait for all the spiders.
Exactly.
God, that was uncomfortable.
I don't know why he swallowed the fly.
Perhaps he'll die.
Step into my parlor, said the fly to the spider. No. Anyways.
Chasm.
Down.
So yeah,
it's sort of like multi-layered, stack of
elevator
ruins,
through the ages, minus the elevator.
right. How far across did you say it was?
About 70 feet across.
Okay.
So yeah, you are stopped at the edge of the cliff.
Okay.
Stretch my legs.
It seems like
literally just said it, but how far?
70 feet across, 150 feet down, roughly.
70 feet across. Okay.
You know, the last time you were here, there was like a staircase, Grumman, but it doesn't seem to be one here.
I was just about to ask. Okay. So last time I was here, there was a staircase. Let's see. Does there appear to be any way across or anything? Hold on one second. Yeah, is there any way across?
When you get a chance, make me a perception check.
I can get across.
Can I look for the staircase that he mentioned?
Perception check.
Okay.
21.
21.
In fact, I can get across.
Oh, I'm still whispering for some reason. Sorry, 22.
Yeah, though for what it's worth, you do want to go down, not across.
I can get a lot of the way down.
I mean, everyone can get all the way down.
Actually, I can get all the way down. Never mind.
It's just a question of getting down safely.
I can get down. It's all down safely.
So with a 22 from Titania and a 21 from Grummond, is anyone else making perception checks or just waiting?
Valdis is gonna just see like how far down if she can tell what it looks like on the lower layers.
15.
Not persuasion, but that is the same roll, so 14.
Okay. So with the 14, Valdeth, assorted ruins. Like you're not able to make out anything specific yet. There does seem to be a more consistent pattern of construction here. These look more like kind of like the more tightly packed apartment rows or like townhouses that are in the lower rings of Taram. But like covered in rubble and debris. Sin, you're trying to see how far down it is, or what were you trying to see?
Essentially, yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything down there that's like, is it generally safe to land down there?
Looking down, sort of like the edge of your vision, you don't see the bottom of the chasm because your vision is 120 feet.
Dark vision is 120.
Yeah. So you can't actually see the bottom of the chasm from where you're at. So you can't tell where would be a good place to land. It doesn't seem like there are very many safe spots that you can see, because at any given moment, any of it could slide away. And in fact, as you're looking, you do see one potentially safe spot just washed away in an avalanche of rubble. Drummond, looking around, you were looking for a way down, or what were you looking for? Well, hang on. Well, Craig's talking to someone else, so to Tanya.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Grumman, what were you looking for?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out if there's anything, any ropes or remnants of a bridge or anything like that.
No bridge at the moment. Okay. Though again, you do want to go down rather than across.
Yeah, but that's why I was thinking if there was a bridge and there isn't anymore, maybe we could climb down it like a Jacob's ladder.
You can certainly see, like, you have if you could provoke a few ruin slides here and there, you can certainly see where you might be able to construct a path down through some of the ruined buildings. It'll be dangerous, and you'd have to figure out a way to cause a bit of the ruins to shift. But you're sort of looking like, if that were to slide over there, we could jimmy our way down that way. There's a hole in that roof we could climb down through, navigate our way through that structure. We could get to, and you're sort of plotting a way to sort of like parkour your way down floor by floor.
Right. I am proficient with Mason's tools. I don't know if that would help me.
I would absolutely
knock
help
out the right brick here.
Yeah, that would absolutely help you. Could figure out an artificial landslide. Titania, you're looking around for a ladder.
Yeah, we're just way down.
You can see a ladder.
Oh.
It's in 3 pieces.
Oh, okay.
Looks like something sort of like fell through it, and it just sort of collapsed.
Is it repairable? I have mending.
Potentially, it would take a while. But you'd have to get to it first.
Okay, it's right down. There's a ladder right down there. I start flying down toward it.
How long would it take to make the sort of ruined staircase that we were talking about?
Make a intelligence check with your Mason's proficiency.
Oh, come on.
Actually no. Make a wisdom check with your Mason's proficiency.
All right, I would much rather do that. I'm gonna make an insight roll because I'm proficient in that.
Yeah, that works.
There we go. 21.
21. Do you have stone cutting?
Do I have stone cutting?
I believe you should, as like
I think we
it's
all
a primary dwarf race thing.
Yeah.
But you would also be able to add your stone cutting to it.
Yes, stone cutting. Yes.
So double your proficiency. So an extra 5.
So that would be a 26 then.
26?
Yeah.
With your knowledge of the inherent instability of the Hive of Ruin, you could probably jimmy together something minorly explosive that you could just toss at the right spot and sort of start a cascade.
Okay, so that's fairly fast then. Grumman says, if you all don't mind announcing our presence to anything that might be down below, I could get us something resembling a usable path pretty quick.
Latanya.
That's great. Well, you all do that, just so our princess is not left down there by herself. I am leaping off, going into a swan dive,
Oh,
and
boy.
once I'm about 30 feet down and can see the floor, dimension door.
Okay.
Into a 3-point stance
All right.
or landing.
Make a make a either a perception check
Yep.
or an acrobatics check, depending on whether or not you are looking for a place to land or just going in balls first.
I will make this acrobatics because that is 100% what they were doing.
All right.
And I will be happy that I have inspiration in case I roll low.
Yeah.
Whatever, we're gods, right?
Yeah.
Basically. Jeremy.
Did you expect any less?
Jeremy rolling dice. There was no other outcome.
Yes, I expected more. I live in hope.
We will use
None.
that inspiration.
Swan dive.
There we go.
There we go.
There you go.
So you get within to where you can see the floor, and you realize your mistake. In that
So excited for this.
have you ever seen a like a really like ever been to in person a junkyard?
Yes.
You know when they get certain sections of the junkyard where it's just scrap piled on itself to a point where it's almost like a mountain, but way sharper than a mountain?
Uh-huh.
That's the floor.
Sweet.
So you're sort of like preparing to cast your spell, getting ready to unleash it. As you unleash it, and you're casting Dimension Door or Misty Step.
Yes.
Dimension Door?
Dimension door.
You cast a Dimension Door, and as the door opens
Misty
up,
Step, you can only go 30 feet. I was not going to cut it that close.
as the door opens up and your destination, much like Portal, is suddenly much closer to you than it first appeared, you realize there is only one spot that you can land safely.
Sweet.
Fortunately, you have a quick enough reaction time and are graceful enough that you manage to flip into a kneel, and not a 3-point lander because there's not enough space for 3 points.
That's fine. That's fine.
Just sort of land, collapsing your legs into a kneel as you land on a very precariously balanced piece of stone that shifts under your weight at every slight motion.
Oh, hi, as I go
And
past.
just for making sure to keep everything waist down, completely still, just simply
His arms
spread
up.
the arms out as if that was planned the whole fucking time.
The applause.
Yep.
And you sort of grab the greatsword with your other hand to steady yourself too,
Yep.
because too much motion will cause this to fall.
That doesn't look very safe.
Neither is flying down alone, dear.
Grummond watches
I'm
this
doing
whole process.
okay.
I am doing just fine as well. I'm going to do a quick look around. Is there anywhere for me to like Misty Step to that is a little bit safer?
Not Misty Step. It's not long enough distance to get to a good safe spot.
Okay,
You
but
could-
Dimension Door I could.
You could Dimension Door to a safer spot pretty easily. You could also try to sort of parkour your way across the rubble.
Is there one? Okay. This is a real bad idea, but I really like doing it. Is there one within 90 feet that's close enough?
Just beyond it. Like for a safe spot, for an
Damn
actual
it!
safe spot, it'd be just beyond. It would be like a
Damn it!
Yeah,
I
just-
really wanted to slam my foot down in a thunder step and teleport over there, as everything around me is just like crack, crack.
No.
Okay,
it's-
I will. I am not. Listen, I have a pretty good acrobatics, but I am not that confident in my die rolling. And appearance is everything. So yes, I will just poof over there.
Yeah, so you actually end up right next to where Titania was heading, anyways.
Perfect.
Which is a sort of the collapsed. You're about 4 layers down from where the others are, and there is just this collapsed bit of what used to be a ladder that's half buried under some rubble.
Got it.
Drummond has watched this whole process, and he looks at the others who are still up top and says,
"They did hear me say I was going to use explosives, right?"
Speaking of which, how many do you need?
"Oh, I think 1. Is that right, John?"
Yeah, just 1.
Yeah, just 1. I just need to get it right over there.
And he points to the likely spot. "But I don't want to do it while your compatriots are down below. The whole point is to bring things down, and that'll bring it right down on them, I think."
Probably, so we'll need to get them back up here first. But how big of one?
Like I didn't start this.
Do you have what you need to make the boom?
I mean, would I be able to basically just use a Molotov cocktail using one of my bottles?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, cool.
No, I think I've got it covered, but thank you there. Out of curiosity, what have you got that explodes?
Valdeth extends her hand out, and out of like a magical rune on her wrist emerges this sort of like shining sword that is made out of some kind of like star metal, and like in the chamber there's a literal rotating chamber around the hilt of the blade, and she sort of pops it out and pulls out what looks like a small and explosive shotgun shell. Got a shit ton of these, and he points over at Gent. He's got quite a few munitions of his own.
Well, if you don't mind me using it, I'd rather do that than dip into some of my stock.
Fair enough. How many of these shells do you think you need?
John?
Give me a... What tool proficiencies do you have?
I have brewer supplies, cook utensils, mason's tools, and tinker's tools.
Give me a tinker's tools check with... this one will be with intelligence.
Yep. Fair. So I'm just going to do... I'm just going to do a history check, and it'll be 5. It'll be at a +4 instead of a -1.
Okay.
So that'll be a 13.
13. If it's filled with enough, if it's filled with the amount of gunpowder you think it is, looking at the size of it, you'd probably need about 2 of those.
2, maybe 3 to be safe.
Valdeth will take the shell out of the gunblade and take 2 more out of her. Oh, she reaches, pulls the neckline of her fur vest open, and just reaches down and pulls out 2 more shells out from her, basically out from her cleavage.
Grumman just sort of grins, not lasciviously, just sort of like, "I like your style," and takes them, and we'll prepare them.
Meanwhile, down by the ladder.
Yep. This is fun.
I'm just gonna fix it.
Do you think they're going to be about an hour or so to get down here? Even with everything that they're planning.
Yeah, it always takes forever to do a plan, so...
It's probably right at that moment that Valdeth puts her link pearl in and contacts down to Titania. You're both probably going to want to get back up here, because we're about to set off an explosion that's going to send a rock slide down there to make our path.
Won't that be really loud?
Yes.
Okay. Are there like monsters down here? Remember the worm things in the desert?
I do. However, it's either that or expend however many magical resources it takes to maybe get us down there at a spot we can't control.
It's a cantrip.
Or 1 spell slot. Or 1 spell.
Featherfall?
That or I could just make us a tie-off to climb down. Remember? And he summons his shield and he just lets go and it just floats there. It just hangs there.
That'll get us down, but forgive me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't look like stable footing down there.
It is once you get over. Oh, I'm not hearing any of this because Link Pearl.
Yeah. Well, we're here and it's pretty. It seems fine where we are.
How far across is that?
It's not. It's straight down.
But I think he's saying how far across is it for like how many of us can land there?
Yeah, like how many of us could fit on that in that area?
Oh, it's like an entrance into another layer. So it's
okay.
It's
just
where
like
we
at
have
the
to
door
go.
the layer we were going for, I think.
Is it the one we were heading for?
I think so.
all you were heading for was down.
Are they basically at the bottom of this chasm then at that point?
They're 4 layers down.
Yeah. Is there further down?
Yeah.
And you see a safe way to get further down?
I'm gonna peer over the edge.
Nope. Like, you can tell there's another layer, but it's from that layer up is rubble.
Well, that's a whole bunch of rubble down there. So
a slide might end up shifting some of that and making more room for us as well.
Or just piling onto it and closing it off further.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Well, suppose we can. Do we have enough? Here's the question: do we have enough rope to get down there?
I have 50 feet.
I just bought 100 feet, so we should be good between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just fly the magic canoe down?
I mostly said
magic canoe.
We're gonna disappoint. Disappoint our poor new dwarf not getting to blow anything up.
No, he'll just have to say he'll save that grenade for later now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the hull works that way. I think if you drive it off a ledge, it just falls, right?
I don't know how it works. That's what Johnny would think of.
I don't know for sure either. Wait, actually, hold on. It might have a flight speed.
It does.
It has a 10-foot flight speed. Yeah.
Well, then never mind. Sure. All right, everybody, pile in.
Well, it has a 10-foot flight speed, but it can only hover 20 feet off the ground. So if you go over the cliff, it will slowly fall.
So if it goes over the cliff, does it just fall and then stop, or does it just slowly descend?
Because it has a hover speed, because it can hover, I would say it would slowly descend.
You just have no horizontal control while it's descending.
Yeah, until you get down to 20 feet off the ground.
So it just carries momentum and slowly.
Oh boy!
It's like if you cast Slow Fall in World of Warcraft and jump off a ledge.
Yeah.
It's like, your feet keep going. Or if you do like I do, which is cast Slow Fall, then get on a mount, and then go off the ledge.
I mean, if you want, I can turn into something that flies too. And
well, the two of you are already down there, so I think the 4 of us remaining might. I think I'm one of the heavier people here, and I'm not 200 pounds myself.
All 4 of you have been riding in the hold already.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember how many were on the hold and how many were on the hold.
Valdeth, Ithrim, and Grummond were the only ones in the Hoarder's hold.
Cool.
Yep.
The remainders were on the disc and on the broom. Cool.
Tell them, tell them to feel free to take as much time as they need.
Let's.
As I angle for a short rest, so I can get my 2 spell slots back.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
I said, Valdeth was just like, well, let's hover down then, Grummond, and you can save those shells for a grenade later.
Oh, that sounds like a plan then. Let's go.
Got a literal shite ton.
Right? So, I know here we go, and it's like the beginning of a roller coaster, like, and then it just
continues on that speed.
Slow up and also slow down.
Yeah.
You can't go back.
Raise his hands.
Going back up is the hard part. Coming down is easy. It's back up is the hard part with the hold.
Oh yeah, can we tie a rope up here first?
Yeah, let's make sure that we do that. Actually, yeah.
Grummond, you know that will be pointless.
Oh yeah, it'll be
Okay,
gone
fair,
by the time we
fair.
come back.
Alright.
That's right. Yeah.
Tying a rope here would be
Fair.
pointless.
Okay. All right.
As you go down, you look and you see the stairs that you saw last time.
Oh, look, the stairs. What are they, like halfway up the wall?
Yeah, they're like they're
Nowhere
like
to
20
nowhere?
feet higher up than they were previously,
Okay.
and they're not connected to anything. It's just like they're just stuck in the wall.
So why does this place move on its own? Like it doesn't look like regular tectonics. It's like magic is just shifting it. Is there just a residual magic everywhere causing changes?
Do I happen to know?
Mm.
Okay. I don't know.
Ithrim, do you have any ideas?
Grumman had more to say.
It was
Didn't mean to
very
interrupt.
stupid. It's okay.
To do it.
Back home in Swiggle, the Lady of Grain had servants that would move things around sometime. They're called daboos.
Breathe.
That was so stupid.
I told you it was going to be dumb. And I told Jeremy I was glad that we are not physically in the same location and I'm out of arm reach.
Oh, I love
Dork.
it. I love it.
Since I've been ritually casting detect magic every once in a while we're traveling through the hive, did I pick up anything like residual in the halls?
There's some
that might cause it to shift.
There's
or...
some amount of residual magic, but nothing that would explain the shifting. No.
Nothing magical. I believe time and erosion is a large factor.
Yeah, but I don't think time and erosion makes a staircase go up. Down, yes. Up, not so much.
No, but the way that this whole system is precariously balanced, one on top of another, things don't always shift the ways that you would expect.
Thing about being part of a city that builds down, though, you learn how things collapse. That staircase would not be intact if something shifted to push it upward.
Well, I mean, it's not. It's very much broken apart from what it was originally attached to.
It looks much more.
But it's
like
still a
remnant.
staircase. Like it's a staircase to nowhere right now.
Well, it's a broke, like it's got shattered one end, shattered on the other, and so it's stuck in the wall.
Yeah,
it's like that broken Moria staircase.
Yeah,
just like random.
Like this is not all natural. Like collapse, from what I can. I'm not wrong in that statement, am I? It's like this doesn't seem like all natural collapse.
Make an intelligence check.
Stone cunning apply.
Sure. Anthony, you can make an Arcana check if you want.
Okay.
So plus 10, so 22.
I will Arcana that as well.
I also got a 22.
Just because, even though I'm down below.
Sure. You're still in the ruins. All right, with an 18, Sin, you would definitely attribute something of this to magic.
Right.
Like maybe not directly in such a way that you would detect it on the ruins themselves, but it's entirely possible that some sort of magical phenomenon just sort of churned up the earth, and maybe even still churns it up to a point where the ruins will shift naturally, but the origin of that shift is magical. Valdeth, you've never seen a ruin this complex or this dense. So you can certainly imagine that there are places where physics works properly, but the result seems wrong. Because there are many instances where physics works properly, but the result seems wrong. Because physics doesn't care about your perception of the results. Without seeing what happened to put the stairs there, you've no idea. Like, it doesn't seem like they should have been able to get there naturally, but it's entirely possible that something could have happened that did. You think about leverage and fulcrums. If something hits the right piece of stone at the right time with enough force, whatever was on the other end is going to go up, no matter how big it is or how wrong it seems for it to go up. And considering how much mass and how much ruin there is just sort of constantly shifting on itself, it's entirely possible for like unto a wave, the ruins here to collapse down in such a way that it pushes more stuff up. So you can certainly see how there could be this could be natural. You feel like the origin of it is probably magical though. Like even if the movement is natural, what caused it isn't. Ithram.
Because if it was natural, this would have settled a long time ago.
Yeah. Or I mean, and even if it didn't, like you feel like there's nothing natural that would have. The kingdoms don't just build on top of each other literally for no reason.
Yeah.
Ithram, there's probably magic at work somewhere in here. You haven't detected enough of it to pinpoint where that source would be. It's not like a passive enchantment on the ruins or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you would assume that there is some sort of magical origin here. You just don't know what yet.
Okay.
Like I'll give you, it's possible to make these sorts of things happen within the realms of stone collapse, but I don't think the conditions here are ripe to make those collapses happen that way. Something else is forcing this.
Could just be some leftover bit of or some magical construct in some deep ruin.
Maybe.
I've detected a bit of magic, but I can't pinpoint it, and because the area is so large.
Something to keep an eye out for, though. This place is far too active for how old it is.
And the boat
no
hits
sane,
the ground.
No sane person, no matter how much they value the grandiosity of the statement, would literally build their kingdom on top of ruins, like physically on top of them.
If there was
it's not a
something
foundation.
Below, if there was something below worth taking, they might.
Indeed.
That's the only reason that I can think of. So there must be something down here.
This is nice down here, though. Relatively.
Tehran was literally built on the back of a giant armadillo, so who knows?
Theoretically.
Welcome. You made it.
Theoretically built on the back of a giant armadillo.
How long did it take for him to get down? Amidst all of this stuff?
About 10 minutes.
Damn.
They're there. You have to play some cards.
Like they were moving it, they were floating down at 10 feet around. So, actually, not even 10 minutes. It would have taken 2 minutes.
Right, but between that and all the discussion and all of
we'll
that,
say
nonsense.
Between 5 and 10 minutes. Yeah, not very long.
Grumman was spiraling it.
I like how I asked, including everything that went before the actual floating when they were arguing about what figure, and you cut the time in half.
I said 5 to 10 minutes.
I know. I'm giving
somewhere
you a hard
in
time.
there. Not an hour.
I know.
They talked and planned and moved at the speed of light. It took 3 seconds. Anyways.
Fine.
You were in the middle of going, tell them to take their time. Oh, they're here. No. So, you're all at the bottom. Well, as far bottom as you can go right here.
All right. A
Do you
little
want
bit
to
lower.
continue with the disc?
It was working pretty well.
Yeah, I think avoiding any of the traps that would be triggered by pressure plates is probably valuable.
It would be. There is one thing I would point out. I'm not saying that this is not a reason to do it. It is just something to stay aware of should this situation come about. By simply bypassing all of the traps, should we need to run away from this location, we will kind of be screwed.
At the same time, though, if we're down here for too long, the path back won't be the same.
And in my experience, if you're running down here, you're pretty screwed already.
I'm just, like I said, I was just keeping that aware.
You bring up a better point.
Grumman, you're looking around as this point is being raised, and you're responding in kind. You recognize the area you're entering. There's an undercity that you'll have to pass through to continue on. It might not be the same as it was previously, but you're pretty certain it's going to get tight, probably too tight to boat through.
But it's about to become not a point of discussion anyway. We're going to have to disembark pretty soon here. It's going to get a little tight.
Fair enough.
Good to know.
Okay.
I'll go in front. That's what you paid me for. And I'll use this handy pole
Absolutely
as well.
true.
So, you disembark, shrink down the boat, and continue forward. The broad street that you find yourself on looks to be flanked by a variety of crumbled buildings that you would identify as at one point probably have been living spaces. Bits of tattered cloth and remnants lie around. Grummond, give me a perception check or an investigation check, one of the two.
Sure thing.
How old is all this again?
Thousands.
Ignore
of
that.
years.
That was a performance check.
Oh, that's perception.
Or at least hundreds,
No, it was
anyways, because I
perception.
believe.
You rolled
Yeah,
perception.
that was perception.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, then I'd like to keep that first one,
You can
please.
keep that first one.
I thought I clicked on the wrong thing.
There's a book over there.
Who? Drawing everyone's attention over here. That's our first scrap of something interesting. I'll look. Does there seem to be anything around it?
It's sort of like it's a weirdly well intact book, with a brilliantly brilliantly shining, not shining, but brilliantly polished red leather book with sort of a silver engraving on it.
Can I read the engraving if it is words or letters?
It is one word, with a bit of filigree around it. You can only see like the first three letters of it because of the way rubble is laying on it, but the first three letters are REC.
All right. What language is it?
Common.
Okay. Well, there's a possibility, based on the arrangement of those letters, that that's a book of recipes, which, given the terms of my contract, might belong to me. Also, given the terms of my employment, I think it's some of my job to go over there and make sure.
Wait. Oh, hang on.
No, I'm not
It's a
headed
book.
off that way. I'm just
Okay.
announcing my intentions ahead of time.
Got it. It's a book. It might be dangerous. We've had some scary books recently.
Oh, I don't like to
May
read
I?
those after a certain time in the evening.
May I? I'm going to send out my mage hand from the lantern. She's got like this lantern that she has clipped kind of on the side, and opens it, and a little blue ball comes out and becomes a hand, and is gonna walk over and start picking up the rubble.
It is not
Away from
strong
the
enough
book.
to pick up the rubble.
It's not? Okay, it's too big.
The rubble is too
Rubble?
heavy.
Okay. Never mind.
As a reminder, Mage Hand can only carry
5 pounds.
5 pounds.
Yeah, I didn't know how like much of dirt and small bits were the rubble. Okay, never mind.
Is the rebel pressing down on the book?
Yeah.
Like it has to be moved. Okay.
Yeah, like you might be able to wrestle the book out of it, but it'd be like it would take more strength than a mage hand has to pull the book out.
Okay. I will hop off and say, well, that's a good idea, though. Unless anyone else has any objections, you all stand back. I'll go over, see if the area is trapped, and see if I can excavate it.
Have fun.
All right. I will hop down, take the pole, tapping it in front of me, and approach. And I would like to search for traps.
Go ahead, give me an investigation check.
Sure thing.
Well, that's going on. Well, I haven't said I've done it as of late.
Natural 20, negative
nice.
1 skill.
Now is a good point. Sin sort of traces around body really quick and casts mage armor as an at will.
Mage armor.
I figure they cast it 3 times a day.
Absolutely.
On the hour as traditional.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually said that at any point yet. So
well, now you have.
Yes.
So yeah, you get over there. You there doesn't seem to be any specific traps here. You're looking around. There doesn't seem to, amongst the rubble, doesn't seem to be anything that has fallen into a trap-like position, except for the rubble itself. Obviously, if you pull wrong, that whole thing will just come down.
All right. So convinced that I'm not going to set off any traps, then can I use my proficiency with mason's tools and my stone cunning?
Yeah, absolutely.
To try to do an excavation.
So strength with your mason's tools proficiency.
Okay. So that will be. I'm just gonna roll a strength save, and it would have an additional +5 to it, if that's okay.
Yep, that works.
17.
Yeah, 17.
Well, yeah, you managed to extricate this book. It is a finely bound red leather book with silver filigree engraved into it, and the word recipes in a very fancy script on the front, on the cover.
He holds it up and goes, "Hey, it's a cookbook of recipes." Like I said, see, not scary at all.
Wonderful. So no value whatsoever then.
Oh my!
It's valuable to him.
That is said
Pretty
in a
exciting.
much lower voice since you are like far away, like back to the rest. So nothing of any value whatsoever. In other words,
He
Valuable
likes
to
it.
him.
I am already
exactly. That's my point.
I'm gonna go over. What's in it?
So weirdly, it's all a bunch of, fairly, some of them fancy recipes, some of them, it seems to be a random assortment of recipes, nothing specific. But as you open the book, you can smell the food. Like you read the first page, and it's like a chicken rotisserie recipe, and you can smell the chicken, you can smell the seasoning, you can almost taste it as you're reading it.
Has Titania approached?
Yeah, she's coming over.
He looks delighted, and as you come up, Grumman goes, "Oh, smell it!"
I'll take an experimental, very small sniff.
It smells like food. Anything? It smells like the food described on the page.
Whoa, my stomach growls. I'm hungry. Whoa.
Oh, I like this one.
Also, Grumman, this book is in impeccable condition considering it was just underneath rubble. Right.
I mean, I assume I don't need to make a roll to figure out that it's magic.
You can make that assumption fairly easily, yeah.
But can I roll Arcana history? It doesn't matter. I'm equally terrible at all of them. Can I roll to see if I might know anything about this anyway?
Give us an Arcana roll.
Alrighty. 9.
You know that there is a wizard right over there.
All right. I will turn and run back over to the group and say, well, not exactly what you're looking for, probably, unless phylacteries can be books, but certainly something magical about it. Anything you can tell me about this?
Yes. One moment.
You wouldn't want that to be the phylactery anyway, because then we'd have to destroy it.
Oh, I know, but if it's a recipe book made out of somebody's soul, they'd probably be, well, not much for soul food, so...
I knew it was coming, even.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take the time to cast Identify.
Hey, Craig, why weren't you allowed back into Gran Terra after one session? Well...
Are you kidding? The DM wants you back after all of these.
So you take 10 minutes to cast Identify.
Yep.
Sen tries to rest for an hour in that 10 minutes.
Yep. Like I
I
think
mean-
I
I
pick up
mean-
10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
It's like micronaps, yeah.
Right, exactly.
You will find this book in the magic items as you identify the edible book of recipes.
Sorry, what?
Yes, this is an item referred to as an edible book of recipes.
Book of edible recipes. All right, so that's legal in this area.
Oh,
Oh, fascinating.
Is that a literal translation? Can you just eat this book?
yes. The meals described on this page. Should you not want to use the recipe, you could rip the page off itself, and it will substitute itself as a meal that you can then eat.
Oh wow.
You can also add recipes to this book that will, depending on how detailed you are, create more meals. Let's see.
So you copy each recipe down into a new page before you rip the page out and eat it.
Does it do drinks too?
Oh, I'm definitely going to
Any-
find out.
Yes. It also has a few boons if you do eat from it. Your hit point maximum increases by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus until your next long rest.
Only if you eat a complex recipe.
Yeah, if you eat a complex recipe.
Well, snap.
If you also make another save if you are diseased or poisoned and attempt to end it, you can only gain that benefit all these benefits for a complex recipe every 24 hours. Can cast create food and water from it.
If you you can use the book
Should
as
you
a
know it.
spellcasting focus when
Yeah.
casting the Create Food and
Yeah.
Water spell, should you know it.
When you do so, the food and drink you create can be aromatic and flavorful, recreating recipes of your choice from the book. So this is literally a cleric food spell to make it
I was saying,
better
like,
than
if you-
bland.
As I say, if
Or anybody that-
you have create food and water, you can make it not taste like ass.
And let's see, holds up to 50 pages.
Go ahead and roll 3d10 and then another d10 separately for me, Craig.
Okay.
Dang.
So it currently has 35 blank pages. And it has 35 blank pages and 2 pages with 2 filled pages containing complex recipes.
Okay.
So those are the 2 that you were smelling.
Okay.
The 25 pages total, 2 complex ones.
No.
No, 25 pages that are filled, two of which are complex.
35.
35
are empty.
that are empty, 2 that are filled.
Great.
Oh, wait, I thought it could hold up to 60.
It can hold up to 50 pages.
Hold up to 50, okay.
Somebody
But
has obviously pulled some pages out of this and eaten them.
Okay.
already.
Okay. Cool.
And the other pages are just blank? Or just don't have complex ingredients?
They're just blank.
Yeah, they're just blank. They can be filled with any recipe that Drummond or anybody else knows.
Takes a minute to fill out. Takes a minute to put a simple recipe in. Takes 10 minutes to put a complex recipe in. The complex recipe is the only one that provides any benefits. When all the pages are removed, you can attempt to rebind it early. So you can attempt to put more pages back into it to rebind it to. You can attempt to rebind it either when all the pages are removed, or you can attempt to rebind it early to get it back up to 50.
Yeah.
So you just copy. So my recommendation would be to copy down any of those recipes before you eat them, just so you can keep them around.
Right, certainly. Thank you. Well, I appreciate it, and
also,
I'll be sure to put this to some use when we've got some time. Don't mean to hold this up now.
when you rebind it, or when you've pulled the last piece of page out of it, you roll a d20. On a 1, the book bursts into flame and leaves the air in a 60-foot radius, smelling like wine and fine cooking. The smell remains for 30 days. After 1 minute, the book's tab remains transformed into a bountiful meal, conjuring a hero's feast as if cast by the spell. The book is then destroyed. On any roll other than a 1, it can be rebound using fine paper, costing no less than 5 gold per page.
Cool.
That is now in all players' journals, and so you can all see it in the Magic Items page, and you can hold on to it if you want. It doesn't require attunement either.
Excellent.
But
Well, I will enjoy that.
as you all prepare to enter into the Undercity with a new book filled with, well, 2 fine, delicious-smelling recipes and plenty of pages for activities later. That's where we'll end for this week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.